All right, well, I would definitely first start off in saying I've never experienced a class like this. In the past 5 years of my time on this campus, I think the closest thing I ever got to talking about race or diversity is in one of my women's studies classes. They briefly mentioned women of color might experience different issues or different forms of oppression, and they didn't go into it, they just kind of briefly touched on it, that there might be a difference there. So I think it was really important to me to really have this experience and actually develop the tools and skills to start having these conversations. Just like, for instance, in my personal life, it didn't necessarily make these issues weren't prevalent to me every day. I didn't have to experience the pressures of white space. And I mean, that obviously is privilege. And I knew that existed. I just didn't have to really recognize it because it was just easier, kind of honestly, to ignore. It was a tough topic. It still is a tough topic. And since I just wasn't feeling it every day, it was just a lot easier for me to kind of just push it aside as like not at the top of my list to think about. But I don't think that's an appropriate way to handle it because I get really frustrated when people have that attitude about issues that pertain to me. So it finally clicked that I needed to take this as the opportunity to just kind of sit down and, listen, and actually not just listen, but internalize what someone is saying and listen to those experiences and those stories to give me that understanding of where people are coming from. So that was important to me to have, and I feel like I've definitely gained having those moments. And it was very interesting to listen and hear and learn, and I think I've gotten a lot of good things out of it that I can use in my day-to-day life now. I just think that these are important topics to have in our education system. And I mean, even the assignment that you gave us, the family study assignment, that was able to increase a relationship with the person that I already had. I knew the person that I interviewed, and in fact, when I asked to interview him, he got really excited, saying that he felt special, that I actually wanted to listen to what he had to share. And I was like, oh my gosh, of course. And so just having that experience of being able to sit there with him and hear the story of where he came from and those experiences that he's faced and the outcomes that he's gotten, and it just improved a relationship that I already had and brought me closer to this person. So, I mean, that was fantastic to have happen just purely from this class. When you talk about solutions and what we're going to do with this, I would like to imagine that if we had classes pertaining to these topics as children, I think that would start the growth process from a young age. I mean, children are experiencing these issues and they should be able to talk about it at school with trained professionals, who are strong in these issues, and not just have to get it from their parents as like a warning or as like, I'm sorry that this happened, but actually just discuss it amongst children with different experiences so they can start that understanding from the beginning. I personally would like to believe that would increase outcomes by the time they reach higher ages. It was mentioned in one of my papers, what am I going to do with this information? How am I going to keep diversity in my life? And I'll be honest, it was kind of a challenging question for me to think about. I didn't really know what to make of it at first. I work at the Reno Police Department. My boyfriend is a police officer with them, so there's a lot. Obviously, I have a lot of support and love within that department and within those people, and it was a struggle for me because I need to support them. And on the other hand, I think these issues are very prevalent and very real, and I want to support this group too. And I was feeling kind of stuck in the middle of like, how do I support these sides when I know that there's a lot of tension between them? And I just didn't really know what to make of it for a while. And I've kind of reached this point of like, obviously there's going to be a process for these issues, and I'm not really sure how to fix them or how to make both sides feel better. I know that within my own life, maybe I can try to bring them together for myself just purely by starting conversations. Maybe I can, within the advocacy program, talk about getting like the guest panels that we have and being able to have an understanding of where our victims are coming from, and being able to relate on a deeper cultural level, and just by making small changes and adjustments to bring comfort into what I'm doing and trying to be as supportive as I can for both sides, and just at least start the conversations, see how it goes.